and back on a Sunday evening for another edition of Knowledge is Power Podcast Live with my co-host Francis Larkin and Mrs. Donna Sherwood. Tonight, folks, we've got some special guests, my good friends from the automobile business, automobile dealers. They're with us, and they'll join us this evening for a special Sunday evening show. Podcast Live, Knowledge is Podcast Live is a platform to share important information by educating the Southeast Texas African American communities with valuable info on health, education, local politics, personal and business financial. We're just here to help our community. So, with that being said, guys, are you ready for our guests this evening?
We are.
Yeah. I bet you got a lot of questions to ask, and I want to make sure that everyone know that we do have Black African American automobile dealership here in Southeast Texas. So let me introduce to my right, Mr. Dale Early from Hyundai SILSBEE. Hello, Dale.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
I'm well.
Welcome to Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. Also, I've got Mr. Robert Turner from JK Chevrolet and NISSAN and Turner Chevrolet from Crosby, Texas. Hello, Mr. Turner. How are you, sir?
Hey, Tony. How you doing, man?
I'm great. And now we got my junior. No, I'm just kidding. DAYLYN Turner from JK SUBARU. He's also with us. And people, we talk about buying cars all the time, and that's one of the second most need that we have, a home and an automobile. But we do have Black African American automobile dealerships in Southeast Texas within 15 minutes from wherever you are. And I'm so proud to be able to introduce you all, the viewers here, to these gentlemen here who has worked so hard to have the type of success in the automobile business. And of course, again, my co-host LaDonna Sherwood and Francis Larkin. I'm sure y'all have a lot of questions I want to ask, but I'm gonna let you go, guys. Shoot at them.
LaDonna, you take off.
I'm super excited to have you guys because you guys are an inspiration to young people and young entrepreneurs and just give us hope on what's possible. So my first question would be from three gentlemen who are really big car dealership owners. What advice would you give to a young person that say, hey, I want to start my own business. I want to become an entrepreneur. What would be like your major stick out thing that you would tell a young startup?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is work hard, save your money, find a mentor, somebody who's in the business that you're actually trying to become part of, and go to work for them. Work with them, learn not just the glamorous side of the business, but all of the dirty details that go into things that you need to do when things don't go right. Work for them as long as you can, and then when it's time for you to invest your money, all you got and all you can borrow, you'll be ready to be successful in the business if you do that.
I think he's offering up his mentorship, LaDonna. We got anyone for him?
We're excited about that. You guys are free to chime in. Who wants to go in? What am I?
I wanted to make sure that Mr. Turner was done before I spoke up because I'm deferring to him, no doubt about it, because he's the guy that really is the godfather of African American auto dealers in Southeast Texas. But just to piggyback on what he stated, I think the one thing that you need to make certain of if you're trying to go into business for yourself, whether it's big or small, what's going to make a difference for you is your persistence. How are you willing to go ahead on, and even when doors are being slammed in your face, continue to knock on the next one. One of the things that we have to deal with in the car business on a regular basis is rejection. And you can expect that if you're trying to go out there. Don't expect because you got a real smart brain and you seem to have the right pedigree that all of a sudden doors are going to open for you just because you knocked on them. Some of those doors you're going to actually have to kick in. So you got to have that drive, determination, and that persistence at the end of the day.
You're right. You're absolutely right, Dale. I can remember when I got started in the early '90s. The doors wasn't open for us back in those days in the late '80s and '90s. Can you agree with me on that?
No doubt about it. But one of the things that I've really been a little bit disappointed over the past, and we're talking about generations coming up behind us. I had the pleasure when I became a dealer in 1987 and started out in Houston, Texas. That at that particular time, I don't know if you remember this, not Robert or Tony, we had close to a dozen, African American auto dealers right there in Houston.
Right.
So. And we had our own little group that got together, support group, to try to make sure everybody weathered the storm and got through it. And by the time I ended up leaving Houston and come to the Beaumont area, Southeast Texas, there was only one essential African American car dealer standing. So we've had some attrition that we really haven't been able to replace, and that's one reason why I say that the drive and determination and persistence have to be there, because it ain't easy getting yourself in a position to be a business owner. No matter what it is, you're going to end up running up against hurdles left and right. Access to capital is going to be number one. We think because we have talent that guarantees us an opportunity, but it doesn't. You still got to fight.
That's right.
That's right. Absolutely.
Mr. DAYLYN.
So I'm one of those mentees. I'm still in the mentee role, but I tell you what, I really appreciate my dad being a mentor to me, and I've grown in this business. I've been in the business for about 13 years now, and just every single day it's a new hurdle, it's a new opportunity. So you just kind of have to watch your attitude, your mindset. You have to be ready, set and go. I'm one of those that I get to play with my mentor's money right now. I don't have to play with my own, but I appreciate the fact that I'm always given an opportunity to see him, grow and see the business grow. And as I make him money, I know that somebody will do that in turn for me. So that's what it's all about,
Wow. And you said 13 years. You don't look old enough to have been in business 13 years.
I appreciate that. I'm 38.
Good job. That's awesome. That is an awesome encouragement and inspiration for young people. And I'm kind of glad that you guys are just giving us some little nuggets of wisdom. I myself am 38 and I've been in business for 14 years. So I'm listening in on whatever I can do to get it going. Francis, do you have a question?
I do. First, I just want to say thank you guys, DAYLYN. You have already plugged into the community and been a great example, and also joined in for young professionals and the African American community in that capacity, but also just throughout Southeast Texas. So we appreciate that. And also to your father, I met him working at the Chamber of Commerce. He was also a great example on the board of directors there. So thank you so much for doing that already and serving our community. But of course, I'm going to go straight for the economy. Like that's where I live. That's where I thrive. That's what I love. So I really want to know, and all the information that you guys have shared, but as far as business goes, and how has that affected with COVID and everything? Have you guys seen a shift in business? Is there any tips you can give with those shifts in business? Just go in anyway in that question you want to target. So,
well, I'll take a stab at it first.
Okay.
One of the things that I think you have to learn how to do in business, you don't have as a minority and an African American, we don't have the resources to try trial and error things every time something comes up. So one of the things that I did when COVID came out, I reached out and started taking a look at what the big boys do. What were the hospitals doing? What were the big box stores doing, et cetera? How were they preparing themselves to stay in business? I sat back, did some numbers, and I believe that we needed to have about 9 months supply of cash in order to sustain the ups and downs of the business, and that we also had to put up a fight that we were willing to protect consumers and employees the same way that the big box brands, the Walmarts, et cetera, were doing, because it was uncertain whether we would be marked as an essential business or not. And if local people were looking to see whether our practices were good or bad, I wanted to be on the good practice side to make sure that we had an opportunity. Now, because we were labeled as an essential business by the feds and by the state, we were able to stay open. We were able to serve the needs of Southeast Texans, sell cars and trucks, service cars and trucks. And believe it or not, more people understood why they needed personal transportation when COVID hit. And so our business actually did better. More people realized they needed to keep their cars in tip-top shape because they needed to use them instead of catching airplanes and buses and things of that nature. So again, our service departments experienced business as well. So COVID didn't have a negative impact so far on the automobile industry, with the exception of we can't get enough new vehicles because some of the vehicles that we sell are produced in states that were shut down. Some of the parts that go on those vehicles were in countries that were shut down, and that affected our supply line. And so other than that, it's been business as usual.
Oh, very good. Very good to hear.
Yeah, I consider the situation with COVID to be the new abnormal. I mean, it's been a game changer. We are not going to end up, going back to the way it was pre-COVID. That's not going to happen. There were certain decisions that we had to make early on in the process, early on in the cycle, in terms of how we ran our business. And we have found some efficiencies that we didn't even know existed, because it wasn't necessary for us to have some of the things in place that we had previously. So, and we're still evolving associated with this, whole situation. I know that, there's been a lot of positive talk about vaccines and things of that nature, but still, we got to deal with people's, psyche. We also have to deal with some of the fundamentals related to the economy. A lot of people have lost jobs in relationship to COVID are folks that, were real solid customers for me because there were more people that were lower income and blue collar. And those jobs, have dissipated, and in some ways, no prospects of coming back. So how do we go forward from this particular point? One of the things I'm hoping that I'll see, out of the next administration that comes along is some infrastructure projects that will end up, repairing bridges and roadways and putting a shovel in somebody's hand who now is, standing around waiting for an unemployment check. We got to get people back to work, and that's the only thing that's going to end up allowing for us to be able to go from a survival mode to one where we're thriving. Us as a dealership, individually, we're actually ahead of where we were, from the standpoint of profitability a year ago as opposed to now. But a lot of that's been by reduction of personnel, finding efficiencies in processes that we didn't have in place before. A lot of the business that we do now is started, online. Those things were already in play, but they've been accelerated with COVID. Well, I think that what we're going to be experiencing for a good little ways to come is a shift that we all got to be able to pivot off of and understand that it will never be the way it was before. What do we look like when we come out of COVID? We won't be the same as we were when we went into it. So that's why I call it the new abnormal. Expecting the new normal again won't happen.
Do you think so if I'm talking to someone who's interested in coming down and patronizing your business, are there any particular programs? Are there anything for people that are on, and I'm a loan officer. So for me, if you're unemployed, there is absolutely no way for you to purchase a home. However, is it different in the car industry for those that have lost their jobs and received?
I'm glad you brought that point up, because that's something that we live with more now so than we ever have before. People still need transportation even if they don't have a job. Right. So how do you end up, allowing those people to be able to borrow money, to be able to go and get a living? And the honest answer is you don't. I mean, they can't purchase an automobile without being full-time gainfully employed. And a lot of people out there, feeling that they've got unemployment benefits, but you won't look at that as being income in your industry, and neither can we expect that in the automotive industry. So
I was just going to ask, so let me ask you this. So people that are trying to buy cars right now and it's COVID, how are you guys handling the no job or working or no working? And is there, what I was going to say, since we're talking about African-American dealerships, are the prices lower? Are you guys lowering prices, or what's going on?
Well, the thing about it, price is not an issue if you're going to have a way to be able to borrow money. Right. If I was going to sell you a $20,000 car for 10 grand, but you can't borrow 10 grand, don't really matter. So we got to get people back to work. That is my mantra if I'm going to talk about anything related to COVID and how we're going to be able to pull our economy out of it. Now, there's two other guys on this podcast with me and with Tony. I'm sure he's got an opinion too. But guys, what's your perspective?
D?
Well, I was just going to say, with COVID, it's given us an opportunity to take a hard look at the digital process and make it really convenient for customers to do business with us. So we're able to now, streamline the process online. We're able to get credit applications, and with our particular business, the challenge isn't always getting the money, getting access to capital. It's more or less getting people out of their comfort zone and wanting them to come in. So we want to make sure that we always promote the fact that we're practicing the CDC guidelines, that we're sanitizing, that we're cleaning daily, and that we're offering alternative measures. We'll go to your house. We'll do a test drive in your driveway. We'll do a walk around. We'll, have one person versus you being in a crowd full of, 15, 20 people in the dealership. So we offer that opportunity for people. With service business, we'll go and pick up your vehicle. We'll drop you off a loaner car. We'll work and service your vehicle, and then we'll drop it back off. So I think all of those things is just kind of giving people, the consumers, a little bit more confidence when it comes to doing business with us. And, keeping our employees encouraged as well during this time frame, letting them know, because, they can't go and meet and greet like they used to at restaurants and things of that nature. So, you have to kind of remind them people are living on social media. Where are the people? Find them, and market yourself and continue to make those connections the best way that you can. And, to answer your question, I believe somebody asked, is it easier to borrow money? We have, 0% interest on Subarus. We're offering, longer extended terms, 90-day deferrals, all of those different opportunities for people so that they can kind of save money and kind of, get past this. And
yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is there a little bit of leniency that would draw the crowd, that would make people want to go ahead and get involved on the uptick, on the, mind frame of the uptick of the upcoming, robust economy that they're expecting? You can go out and get that financing on the, 0% or deferred payments. And
Sure. I think you have to. You just have to continue to do that and encourage people that it's okay to spend some money, and we'll work with you, and we'll do all we need to do to make sure that your experience is safe with us. So that's what we're doing over at JK Subaru.
That's very good. When do you guys, is there certain times of year, and I'm sorry to cut whoever that was off, that you see an influx in business, and are you anticipating that same influx over the next 12 months, if that's the case?
Well, this time of year, after Labor Day, we normally kind of do a cooling out, which is why we have in the Chevrolet line, we end up with a truck month, and now we got a cyber sale going this particular month, and then we'll do our year-end clearance. But those sales are designed to peak interest in normal times. Currently, because of the fact that we're watching inventory levels, manufacturers watch inventory levels, and as those levels go up and down, that determines whether the incentive goes up or the incentive goes down. That's supply and demand at this particular point. So I wish we could answer that question a lot better, but it's really a supply land situation at this particular point. The one thing that we do offer to listening audience is we work hard as African-American dealers. I know Edel does, and DAYLYN does, I do, and a couple of guys who are not on the call. We work very hard to earn our customers' business every single day. We probably work harder at trying to make a difference. And, I've been in Southeast Texas 20 years. I've been in the industry over 40 years, but 20 years, and there's still people who go, I didn't know you owned JK Chevrolet. I didn't know you owned JK Subaru. I didn't know you owned Turner Chevrolet. And it's no part that we're not advertising. I was first willing to put my face on commercials to let people know, yes, we own it. And I say that because with the number of African-American people in Southeast Texas, we couldn't supply all the cars. Edel couldn't, I couldn't, DAYLYN couldn't, if folks chose to buy their brand that they bought from us. Now, we didn't say, hey, if you want a Lincoln, go buy it. If you want whatever, go buy it. If you bought what we sold, and if you bought it from us, we couldn't supply all the cars that would be needed. So what we could do is make more opportunities for folks that look like you and me. We could create that opportunity. I have sat on national boards, and we have tried to convince Fortune 500 companies that they needed more African-American leaders in the country, okay? Now, you got to understand, African-Americans are about 14% of the population. However, less than 5% of all dealerships are owned by minorities, okay? And less than 2% of those are owned by African-Americans. If we only had our share of the dealerships in this country, and we won't get those until we can prove that African-American people will go out of their way to do business with an African-American dealer. That's why we're all on this call. We're on this call to let you know you have a choice. Whether you want a Hyundai, whether you want a Nissan, whether you want a AAA, whether you want a Subaru, you do have choices. You vote with your dollars. And if you vote for us, your children and grandchildren could have a bright future in our industry because they will seek out qualified people to put in franchises if those folks who buy from them look like them or willing to go out of their way to say, we're going to support our own. Okay. And I'm sorry.
I'm glad that Robert had the courage to go ahead on and address that elephant in the room, you know, because that is a real issue for us. You know, he's been in the business for over 40. I've been in for over 30. And we've been saying the same thing for all that period of time. Now, you know, when it comes to us, you know, and I'm talking about Black folks, you know, sometimes we don't give us the opportunity the same way as we give somebody else. Now, I don't know why that is now. You know, I don't know why that is. That is a reality. Now, you got 3 individuals on this call, on this podcast right now that have, I'm talking about state-of-the-art dealerships, great processes. I mean, equal to anybody you want to pick out, whether they're AutoNation dealerships or, you know, some legacy group of dealerships. We never get that first shot. I mean, in most cases, we don't. I mean, and in SILSBEE, I can kind of relate to it just a little bit because maybe there's a problem crossing, you know, Village Creek or something like that. But the long and short of it, I would love for my folks to give me the first shot because by the time I get that last shot, I got to be a sure shot. You know, I've already gotten sent out to different. I understand that LaDonna, you're in the mortgage business. Is that what you do?
No, Francis is in the mortgage business.
I apologize for that. Francis, you're in the mortgage business, right?
Yes.
Now, if somebody's been turned down by every mortgage company and they come to you, what are your odds of being able to make that happen for them?
I'm gonna give it a shot now.
I'm gonna give it a shot, but would you have a better shot if you got the first shot?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. That's my point. You know, don't come to us as a last resort. You know, if you can come to us as the first option.
Well,
you know,
what can we do to draw people your way? You know your business way better. We can say, oh, go here, go there. But what can we do as just patrons, just in the community, to drive people that look like us to your business?
Well, for one, I know that, you know, and Robert mentioned it earlier, you know, we've been involved in the community. I mean, I spend a lot of my dollars right there in the SILSBEE, you know, Hardin County area, but I do spend a lot of money in Beaumont too, trying to, you know,
draw that business
and extend. You know, I think when you approach people in a non-traditional way, it's just not straight up advertising. You know, it's more or less a relationship that you're trying
building
to build.
Relationships. Oh.
That the people.
I think kind of like here tonight on Knowledge is Power podcast, myself and Tony and Francis is all of our audiences. That's why I went on and shared it on my page live. If they know, like Mr. Turner said, you got people, he been in business 40 years, it'll say, well, I didn't even know. Well, here at Knowledge is Power Podcast, this is what we do. We just trying to bring awareness to the community, make sure we're up to date on what's happening with our people and our group, and make sure that we're on the pioneering front of getting information out there, whether it's political or financial or whatever, inspirational. We try to get people involved, especially the young people, because you got to think. I tell people all the time, you got two powers. You got voting power and you got spending power. Yes. Where you spend your money, it matters. And if the people you spend your money with don't look like you, then you got the problem. You know, I mean, here, this is the kind of conversations that we want to have.
There's a concept called the circular flow of funds. You know, basically where I give it to you and you give it back to me.
Right. And we need to start younger and younger.
That's something that has somehow principle has escaped, you know, our culture, you know, and I'm not trying to get on this podcast and start to, you know, pontificate on a bunch of things that, you know, other people already have knowledge of, but we got to understand that concept. And we need to not only have the knowledge that Robert Turner, you know, has 2 Chevy stores that are close enough for anybody. Why would you buy a Chevy from anybody else if you look like him? I mean, there's no reason to. DAYLYN is running the only Subaru franchise that's owned by an African. How many African Americans own Subaru franchises?
There's a total of in the country.
How many? In the
in the whole entire country, 7.
Wow. What?
You got 3 fingers left over after that, right? So why would you choose not to do business with that person?
Right.
I understand that some of this is relationships that have been developed with others. Okay. So, and we have to trust each other. There has to be a trust relationship built. But I think in most cases, you know, we find that trust when we're in the least position to try to act upon it. Let's do it when we at least got a chance. I mean, when somebody comes in my dealership, and I don't know if it's appropriate to state, you know, with this audience that we have, but if they look like me, I guarantee you they're going to get everything I got, you know, because to me, that's my family.
Right.
Family.
Right.
I'm not going to mistreat my family. Now, some people will, you know, and I've been mistreated by my family, but I'm not going to mistreat my family.
Right.
So I'm going to extend courtesies and try to make sure that we're, you know, as professional, and we're doing everything. We're going to go above and beyond. And we have been successful at doing that in the past 5.5 years in Southeast Texas. But still, just like Mr. Turner said, I didn't know you were out there. Really? Okay. How do I get that knowledge into your head and for you to act upon it the next time you have an opportunity?
Right. And we Google anything else that we want to do. So you have to think about it. I Google everything. If it's something African-American in my area, I'm like even looking for African-American toothpaste, toilet paper, whatever. I'm trying to figure it out.
You know, guys, I'm glad I was able to put together this show for you all, because I was a little disappointed. And we've been on this show now almost 8 months, going on 9 months, and we've got over 20,000 followers that will follow us in the next 10 days. Will watch this show. So, and I wanted to make sure that in Southeast Texas and everywhere, I mean, we're in Louisiana, Houston area, we're all up East Texas, all over Texas. But I want Southeast Texas community to understand that we do have Black African-American automobile dealers. You know, and when you said Dale early, when you said the Hyundai store in SILSBEE, and I talked to people in Newton County and Hardin County, and they say, well, I didn't know that was a Black Hyundai dealership here in SILSBEE. That say, hey, wait a minute, come on, this man been here 7 to 8 years. You don't know that we are African Americans. Do you know we have more African American within a 15-mile radius? Black African Americans automobile dealerships in a 15 minutes radius than that is in Houston, Texas.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, I've been doing this 44 years, and I'm not telling my age, but as an African American former automobile dealer, I know the feeling, I know the hurt that we receive because someone drove right across the street and bought a car from another store and did not know where we were, that we were here. And we need to service our own business.
Right.
When we started, I mean, Robert can tell you the same. When he and I got started, there was only a few of us.
Right.
African American in the automobile business.
Right.
And those days are not going to come back unless we do what Robert spoke earlier and said, and we don't cater to our own people business.
Right.
Those days will never come back because they're going to keep that money to themselves. They're not going to share it, you know. And you know what? And then a lot of them take that money and move it somewhere else. You know, they don't put it back into the community. But we're talking about 4 African Americans that lives in our community that looks like us, that we should service their business. Now I'm a Hyundai dealer. Don't exclude me, but don't walk in the door and look over my head to get someone else when I'm standing right there in front of you. This is what they're saying.
Right. For sure. And I think that it's a timely message because we must reach out to younger generations, and we need to go ahead and instill that in them now, not wait until after you start making money. If they can see us become that change as younger entrepreneurs and business owners and people that are coming out to the community, a lot of those relationships are built through learning. We build a rapport and choose our stuff based on what other people saying about it. So we need to develop that. Oh, they're good. Oh, go over there. Or I know them. Or they're going to treat you like family. Or, you know, if we spread the word and start with our kids before they really start making money, so they can see us patronizing other African-American businesses, that it's a learned process. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the show. I'm on live. I want people to like it and share it. Tell somebody else that Southeast Texas has more African-American dealerships in a 15-minute radius than wherever, and let them know who they are and what they're selling. JK Chevrolet, JK Subaru, and Mr. Dale Early and Hyundai of SILSBEE. Is that right?
That is.
Good.
Okay, so then we need to let people know. Like it, share it, like it and share it.
Yeah.
If I can make this shameless plug, also feel free. If you guys don't drive Subaru, that doesn't mean you can't service your business with me.
Right.
You can get your regular routine maintenance, you know, oil changes, tires rotated, you know, all of that kind of good stuff. Feel free to schedule that with us. We'll be more than happy to service you there as well.
Hey, you know, you guys got the state-of-the-art buildings, equipment, technology, just like any other store.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No, we're not operating out of Quonset huts. You know, we got the, you know, the real estate, you know, taxes and everything else to prove that we don't spend the money, and we will continue to invest if the community invests in us. I mean, the circular flow of funds is a simple economic concept that has somehow escaped us. We got to get to that if we're going to end up. See, the only independence that we really can gain is through, you know, economic independence. You know, as long as somebody don't look like me to give me a job or give me a loan, how am I going to be able to have some of the privilege that others have?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not smarter, you know.
Right.
No,
Sure,
they're
they're
not.
looking, okay,
You know,
but they got connections, and those connections are within their culture. Is the only thing I'm trying to say.
Right. I'd like to say this, that there are a lot of young entrepreneurs probably looking at this podcast. And, you know, for some of those who are just consumers, understand this. If a young person is trying to decide where to invest their money, whether to invest it in what they do well in Southeast Texas, it helps them if they see that folk that look like them are already supporting businesses of people who look like them. It makes it a little bit easier for them to invest and stay home and build this community. Let me tell you, this is a gold mine of a community for business. When you look at the percentage of African American as relationship to the total population, it's a no-brainer that if you have products and services that you provide to African American consumers, that you should be automatically successful if you are doing what you should be doing. Unfortunately, if I invest and they invest and most of our customers don't look like us, it scares new entrepreneurs to other areas to invest. So if you want to see more African American investment in things that you like, please try to encourage people to do business with African American businesses that are already established here, so that they'll see that if they take every nickel they have and invest it, that they will get a return on that particular investment. And that is the only difference between our community and other communities throughout the world, is we haven't figured out how to make sure that dollar turns 7 times in our own neighborhood. That's not being racist. It's not being negative. I applaud other folk who don't look like us, who mastered that concept of making sure money turns several times in their community. And if we want to make certain that we have what we want in our communities, we just have to turn that money over and over and over in our own community. And that's not being negative. That's not being racist. That's just being prudent with your dollars. And if you do that, you'll be doing the same thing that everyone else is doing of every other race in this world. That's what they do. You know, Spanish people go all across the globe to do business with Spanish people.
They do.
Asian will go all the way across town.
Right, wrong, and different. It could be the worst deal ever. They still going over here.
We have got to get past that point of, ooh, how come he don't have a store over here? Why is this store all the way up in SILSBEE? Why don't you have it in Beaumont? Well, we have to buy them where they are, and we can't move them.
That's right.
Okay. And if you really want us to have a store in Beaumont, do all the business with us wherever we are, and maybe we will buy the guy who's going out of business out in your neighborhood and do business there. Okay,
that's a great way to see that.
That's
a great perspective.
Well, the reason you don't have grocery stores in your neighborhood is no one wants to invest in those grocery stores because they're afraid you won't do business with them. And as a result, you end up with folk who don't look like you selling groceries for twice the money in something that's not even up to speed. Why? Because
in your neighborhood, when you could have done the same thing, only difference is you're going to pay that higher price with them. If it was with us, you'd be looking for a deal. Sometimes you got to go ahead and pay what you would pay with somebody else, with the person that is looking for a deal or a discount or wanting for the low and all of that. It's taking money to run these businesses. You know, I don't mean to be, but I'm just saying, if a different race would come into the neighborhood and sell you rice, they not going to sell it for $2. They're going to sell it for $5, and you're going to buy it at $5 and not complain. But if I come and sell rice for $5, you're going to be like, oh, I need to get it for $2.50. No, we're not going to do that.
Understood.
I don't know. Don't get me started, because y'all know I can go.
Amen.
I guarantee you that you won't buy a Hyundai less expensive somewhere else than you will be with me. You know, we have to be extremely competitive in our business. We don't have the luxury of being able to charge you a premium, but we just want the opportunity to sell you. You know, and if we're not, equal to earning your business, if we don't provide you the same level of professionalism and service that you receive somewhere else, you are right to go take your business elsewhere. Nobody should take your dollar and not give you the returns you're looking for. But I'm telling you, I am committed, as well as the other two gentlemen on this podcast, to providing the same level of service and the same quality of product for a competitive price that anybody is in the 48 contiguous states. I don't know about Alaska and Hawaii, but I can definitely tell you about Montana.
And also, guys, tell them about your guys' service, the service after the sale.
Well, our service is second to none. Let me tell you, if there's one big expense that I look at on a regular basis, is what it costs me to train technicians. And we have 14 certified technicians in our Chevrolet store. We got 4 certified technicians in our SUBARU store. And I mean, we spend a ton of money making sure that these people know exactly what it takes to get the job done. And if you take your car somewhere else and they do the easy work, and then you have a tough problem, and you know what they normally say? Whoa, boy, you need to take this one to JK, because well, guess what? If you brought your car to us on a regular basis, you wouldn't have to worry about being told to bring it to us. We would probably even know that concern is coming up, so you can prepare for that concern, because we do multiple inspections on 100% of the cars that come into our stores, and that's at no charge to every single consumer, to let you know the health of your vehicle so that you can start saving your money for the things that's going to come up next that's going to have to be done to your automobile. And I'm sure that Mr. Early does the same thing.
Now, tell us about your service, Dale, and also let us know, let the audience, the viewers know that you also are open on Sundays.
Yeah, that's an interesting story in itself, but I won't go into it on this podcast. But our service that we offer, equals or exceeds, everybody in our district. Our, customer satisfaction ratings, our Google reviews, are higher than most dealerships are. And so the biggest testament is the level of service that you're providing is what people say about you on a word of mouth basis. Mm-hmm. We have all the state of art equipment. We have to. We don't have an opportunity to have less than what we need. Mr. Turner spoke about the training of technicians. The amount of dollars that we spend on training people, not only technicians but also other employees in the dealership, probably is well above on a per capita basis than any other industry that you'll come across. We're constantly having to do that, and all that's to be able to deliver excellent service and be able to live up to your expectations. Now, people's expectations shift, but even when that happens, we're still challenged and charged with trying to meet those expectations. Mm-hmm. So, only thing we're asking for is the opportunity. Give us the opportunity to show us what we can do. I can show you better. I can tell you. I've always believed in that.
Well, let me just say this. I'll chime in and attest to the service that Mr. Turner provides to his clients. I have a cousin that brought 2 vehicles from them, and they come and get their services, and they're always happy with the outcome. Because DAYLYN, had it not happened, I would definitely let you know. And hopefully, Mr. Early, I'll be sending someone your way soon. So we appreciate you for saying what it is and actually standing behind it. So thank you very much for that.
LaDonna?
Well, I'm just super excited. You know me, when I get to meet other African-American entrepreneurs and we get to talk about money and all of that, that just gets me all riled up. It just fires me up. So I'm just super excited to be on this call tonight and to just encourage people to get out there and Google stuff, look it up, see if there's pull it up. It's not that difficult. Don't let that be the reason. Make sure that you go out of your way to do your business with us. People that look like you, people that are in your community, that are going to reflect your values, that are going to push your agenda, even outside of this, because I know Mr. Turner because his wife was doing theater and I was in a production at the Jefferson. You know what I mean? These are not people that are in a far off land that you can't touch. You can talk to Mr. Turner, like he said, about, mentoring, or DAYLYN or Mr. Early. These are people that ultimately want to see you do good. You know what I mean? We are telling you, our viewers and young entrepreneurs, we want to invest with you. We want you to invest with us. And we're looking, the future's looking bright. And I think we just got to keep pushing that type of message. And I'm excited about that. Just on on another level.
Robert, you said something that that's really, really important, and that's that we are sitting on a gold mine here in Southeast Texas. Absolutely. We, even during the COVID-19 and the Corona shutdown, and we didn't suffer as other areas and places and cities and towns, and we still can stand on our grounds. We still can make it. It's not what we wrote, but we still can make it. But the key is that we got to come together as a community and work and service. When I say service, do business with our own kind, because there's no excuse that the Chevrolet is the #1 domestic automobile maker in the country. And Subaru is one of the safest built automobiles in the country, and of course Hyundai is one of the most progressive Japanese Korean vehicle that has really taken off and has a good looking vehicle. They style and the class of it is just awesome, man. I tell you. But of course, I'm a Honda guy.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we all want to be like Easy
I'm a
Joe.
Honda man.
We all want to be Honda dealers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, look, Dale, tell us about, and I just noticed this only this evening, that you guys got some big old incentives like the 0 down and 72 months on your Hyundais. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the current promotions that we got going on in tune with the Hyundai holiday sales event, which is 0% for 72 months, like you mentioned, also 0 payments for 90 days. So you won't have a payment until January or sometime in 2021. We have some of the highest incentives that we have had all year long right now. Somebody asked early on about, is there anything special going on right now? Most of the manufacturers are going to end up promoting extremely strong in the month of December, and it really begins about mid-November. So it's a great time to buy a car if you're in a position to purchase an automobile. It really is. Now, I know there's some challenges related to the supply chain being disrupted with some of the domestic manufacturers as well as some of the foreigners too. So that's going to end up impacting your, opportunity to maybe buy the exact vehicle you want to purchase, but you still can get a great deal on it no matter what. So we need to, make certain that if you're looking to make a choice on an automobile and you're in a position to make a choice on an automobile, there's no better time than the next 45 days to go ahead on and see something new in your driveway.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, I tell you, I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to showcase you. And Rob, you have something you want to say?
Tony,
there?
yeah, I want to challenge the listening audience to do something special for every little boy and girl that looks like me and you. When you're driving down the Highway 69, Highway 96, I want to challenge you to look at that little boy and that little girl and point to JK Chevrolet, point to JK Subaru, point to Hyundai of SILSBEE and say, you know what? An African American owns that.
Absolutely.
And that means that it's possible for you, young man, young woman, to be anything you want to be, because out of all the odds, African Americans own that particular business. And if they would do that on a regular basis, it would just tickle me, because I think that we need to have more than baseball, basketball, and football players for young African Americans to look up to. And we have big facilities on the freeway. They don't even have to get out. They can. You're welcome to come in and have a cup of coffee. But what we'd like to see you do, we'd like to see you talk and visit and tell those young people about our entrepreneurship, our businesses, to inspire them to be all they can be. And they don't have to be sports people or music people to do that.
And it wasn't that long ago that we was in that back seat too. So we were in that back seat, and we didn't have a whole lot of examples to,
No, we didn't. We really didn't. I mean, it was unheard of when we talked about wanting to become a dealer back.
So let me ask, how did that idea or concept come about if you had no examples? What thrust you, and DAYLYN, you can't answer, but what thrust you into that position had you had no example?
It was
well, I don't know about Tony, but when I started, the only place they wanted people that looked like us, you were lucky if they had 1 or 2 African-American technicians, but you were washing cars, pushing brooms, things of that nature. You weren't allowed on the showroom floor unless you were delivering packages. Right. And I kept asking that question. Hey, how do you get to own one of these? How do you get this chair? And how do you get that chair?
So someone had to give you a break.
They kept saying you don't. And finally, one day, a guy said to me, all you got and all you can borrow, and you might be able to get one of these. Well, I didn't know what he meant, but I kept saying, okay. I mean, I got $2.98, and I'm sure I can borrow $2 more. So what in the world? All I got and all I can borrow. Can I get a dealership? And finally, one day, a guy sat down from General Motors and said, listen, I understand you've been inquiring. Let me tell you what it's going to take to get a store. And it knocked my socks off, because, nobody I knew had that kind of money. I mean, matter of fact, if I would have got all the money from everybody that was in my old neighborhood that I grew up in, I still would.
Well, I asked because my dad started off that way. He was the first African American physician from Jasper, Texas. So for him, he started off, someone gave him an opportunity, and that person did not look like you or me. So I just always wondered, well, if you don't have any, I have tons of examples in the community, thank God, but you know, where does that come from?
Yeah, my first partner was Anglo, and he gave me an opportunity. I made him a lot of money, and one day I asked him about buying him out, and he said I couldn't, and I asked him to buy me out, and he said he would, and I took that money and borrowed some more money and bought JK Chevrolet.
Mm.
And you've been with you bought JK Chevrolet back in '88, isn't it? 9?
When he was 5.
That's 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Now, let me ask you this. So is it, if I could just chime in, would it be safe to say that you guys would say it's cool to work across the aisle, right? So we need to bring that up. So it's cool to like walk across the aisle. You don't have to keep everything.
Well, let me just speak to that. Let me just speak to that. Yes, most of us had to work across the aisle. There was
There was no other way. There was no other way we can do it. Yeah.
I know sometimes we push our agenda so much, we don't want people to think that we're not flexible or we're not, incorporating. I mean, everything is kosher. We're really, I would like to, what's the word I want to use? Versatile and diverse in our things that we're trying to, we want to diversify what we're doing.
One of the keys, I think, to being successful is being able to get people to give you things when they don't want to. Okay.
Good point.
Most of the folks that we had to reach across the aisle didn't exactly want to do it. I mean, there were some real, good souls out there, but very few of them. And there were some, and typically when they did, there was an advantage to them too. They were gaining something from that relationship.
Right.
Of course.
And we had those opportunities. Since I have been a dealer, I've been fortunate enough to be able to bring some people up that look like me, and they are now dealers too. And that's one of the things. If I want to leave a legacy, it would be
so
that
you're trailblazing.
That there was not only that was I'm gonna call myself a trailblazer because to me that's a lot of people that sacrifice a lot more than what I did to get where we are now. But the long and short of it, I knew that I had a responsibility. I still do. If I see somebody like me, to give them the opportunity to be in the same chair that I'm in, maybe not my chair, but a chair similar to mine. And I've been successful at doing that. But it gets harder and harder every day. It gets harder to find people in a position to go ahead and take advantage of, because as Mr. Turner spoke earlier, you got to have some money and be able to borrow all you can, and then you got to just go ahead on and let it flow. So. But I think we are still, in a position today with people that are willing to come along and, like Mr. Turner mentioned in the beginning, to be mentored. They can have an opportunity to be in the same position that we are. I don't think I house anything, inside my brain that's any more than what a normal person would have. And I know what makes successful people successful, and most times it's not intellect. It's their drive and determination. They're wanting to have an almost unquenching thirst for success.
Right.
There's times when what we do does not give us back what we put in it.
Absolutely.
And you have to persevere. I always tell people perseverance is key. And the definition of perseverance for me is when you keep going back. When it don't always line up, but you keep going back until you get what you want.
So tenacity is definitely key.
Yeah, I was talking about the one term, it's passion. And most people relate passion to pleasure, but passion has to do with pain. How much pain are you willing to go through to be able to enjoy the good things? Exactly. And if you don't have that passion, find something that you do. Because that's the only way you're going to ever be happy. Don't let your dream die inside you. Go into the grave, talking about what you should have done. Have a passion, make it happen. If it works, it works. If it don't, try something else.
And you got to be prepared to grind it out. You got to grind it out.
Well, since I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, yeah, I'm gonna be grinding.
Me too. Look, me too. I tell people all the time, you got to be prepared for that grinder, baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna be grinding.
Great. DAYLYN Turner of
Yes,
JK Chevrolet, JK Subaru, and Robert Turner with JK Chevrolet and Turner Chevrolet in Crosby, Texas, and Dale Early of Hyundai of SILSBEE. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I thank you guys for coming on to give me an opportunity to present you guys today. We've got within the next 10 days, over 20,000 people will watch this show or watch portion of this show. And it may maybe be one thing that you might have said that will help someone, may have helped someone. So guys, I wish you all the best. And of course, I'm in the business as long as you are in the business. We got to keep grinding. We got to keep grinding. For folks you want to do business, I want you to do business at Hyundai of SILSBEE with Mr. Dale Early. And NISSAN, you have JK Chevrolet with Mr. Robert Turner, and also DAYLYN Turner at right across the street at JK Subaru.
And Tony, if I could leave them with one more piece of word that I got from my mentor that's on the call right now. It's not what you don't know. It's what you do with what you do know.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Dale, you said something awesome. You got to have a passion. You got to have a passion. I love getting up every morning doing what I do. I mean, just every day, just smile and laugh and have a good time doing it because I enjoy doing it, And that's what you guys do. You enjoy doing it. You wouldn't be doing it because of all the pain and hurt and
there's a lot of pain. A lot of pain,
guys.
I cry daily.
Yes, it's not an easy task, but it's been great. Guys, thank you so much for being with us, and I hope your success and great luck. And we're going to do this again. Before we go on Knowledge of Power podcast, I'd like to announce to you that we are having a special holiday Thanksgiving morning podcast with Pastor Deborah Mack Jr., along with praise and singing and joy and just having a good time. So join us for an hour of praise, prayer, and Thanksgiving morning at 9 o'clock right here on Knowledge is Power podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I got that? Okay, great. Guys, you got any final words before we close out?
Well, I just want to toot these guys' horn one more time and encourage people to get out there and, patronize with us. Make sure that you remember you got two powers, voting power and buying power. And these guys are not in a faraway place. They are not from a faraway land. They actually do put their money where their mouth is. They invest in the community. They are accessible, transparent, and ready to serve. They are qualified. And I am super excited about them being here on today. And I just want to encourage people to come on out and spend your money with us. Go ahead.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you for your business. And we're there for you, and we'll always be there for you.
All right, I appreciate you guys. Thanks again. God bless.
All
right,
bye-bye.
All right.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.